Welcome. Now I've got feedback. We good? Okay. Welcome to Winning at Life. In this segment, I've got a couple topics I'm going to discuss with you. For newbies just tuning into the show, I know this happens, and you don't tune in just at the top of the hour, but you might be just now tuning in, or kind of flipped over to the station, or clicked a link and started streaming. And hey, welcome to everybody that is streaming the show on our YouTube channel and Facebook Live as well, or have tuned in to iHeartRadio and now picking up the show. We've been doing this for years, and it's a show we bring to you every Saturday. And basically, it's financial talk radio. I've been in the industry for the most part of my adult life. It's not something I started doing a few years ago, or I started doing when I did the radio show. I've worked with families for decades before I started doing the show over 15 years ago. And so I just transfer the knowledge I'm absorbing and growing along the way that I've developed, and keep adding on. I'm CEO, founder of Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority, advisors in retirement strategies. We help families with their money, and multiple pillars of income planning, risk planning, emergency money planning, investment planning, retirement planning, estate planning, tax planning. Kind of all those things kind of go hand in hand. And also that's, we are a sounding board. That should be a pillar in itself, is being a pillar, someplace that you can go and have discussions and have a sharing of ideas and bounce ideas and what you're thinking about now and the future, regarding family transitions and losing a loved one, and having those resources and help through that. That's the kind of things we do. And if that sounds of something you'd like to learn more about, go to gregoryricks.com, email info@gregoryricks.com, call the office. And look, we work with families across the country. That's what technology allows us to do. If you want to do a Zoom meeting, we're absolutely prepared and fine with that. We do those often, but we also have in-person visits in Metairie, Louisiana, Mandeville, Louisiana, and Gulfport, Mississippi. And on the website has the addresses and stuff of those offices. And if you go on the website, you can check out our team and look at the staff that we have. And I think it's important to be able to visit an office and make sure they are successful. If you're working with somebody that comes by your house, do you really know what's going on with them? Yeah, they're nice. They're coming by your house, but have you been to their office? Do they look like it's taken care of, up to date, organized, looks successful? I think those are little things that you should be aware of. And I also think if you're relying on just one person as your advisor, and most of the industry is operated this way, basically with advisors with no assistants, or an advisor with an assistant. Well, we've got a firm that has you with a team of people at all times, and you're not reliant on just one person. And I think that's important, and we're going to continue working on evolving that. And I think it's so old school to think that you're going to work with one person versus having a team of people to take care of you and that you can rely on. And that should be an expectation. So once again, if you're looking to start a conversation, 504-832-9200 is the phone number. It doesn't matter where you live, where you want to meet at. There's one number to call, just like there's one website, gregoryricks.com. So reach out to us. Even if you just want to have an exploratory conversation, we'll schedule a 15-minute call to start that conversation as well. Non-threatening. If you kind of say, well, look, I've heard enough, I've listened for a while, been needing to know this, you can just go ahead and plan a visit. And how that starts to is we schedule that for 60 minutes. We have a little bit of wiggle room. If the meeting finishes earlier, we're fine with that. If it runs a few minutes longer, we're okay with that. But that's kind of what we schedule it for. It's not an afternoon. And I promise you, you get in there, they're not going to keep you for 2 or 3 hours because it's scheduled for an hour. So we have a little bit of wiggle room. If the conversation runs a little bit longer by maybe 10 minutes, we can keep you there. But that's going to be the extent of it because we're business where business is being done. We're an advisory firm where people are coming in for meetings, and we have our calendars are specific and full throughout the day. So it's not like you have an unlimited visit. And I think that's good because, once again, I don't want to wear you out. I don't want my advisors to wear you out. I think if you've had a 60-minute conversation, that's probably enough to take in, and we need to move to that next step, schedule that next visit, schedule that next conversation, and continue that. I think those are very important concepts. You haven't got to worry about, well, how the heck am I getting out of this meeting? Because that's kind of a fear. And one thing we do at the meetings, we kind of let you know there's an agenda we cover and let you know what we're covering in this visit and how long this visit's going to last. And there's going to be somebody knock on the door, which is an indication of how much time is left. And then there'll be somebody knock on the door, help the team wrap up that meeting. But they're letting you know at the start of how long it's going to last. Because one of your fears, and I said, this is really important concept, because, if you, and I kind of, and this is not to hate on car dealers. Look, I sold cars back when I was in college as well. But one of the fears people have, and I've experienced this, is I go to want to look at a car and I feel like, well, hell, I can't get out of this meeting. I'm not interested. I'm ready to leave, and it seems like it takes forever. We don't want you to have that feeling or that worry. So people say, well, I'm going to end up going to an advisory firm and talking to a salesperson. You better not have that vibe at our office, and that's not your fault. We better not give you that vibe. But I promise you ain't got to have that fear, like, how am I going to get out of there? You simply can leave anytime you want, but that meeting is only going to last about 60 minutes. So you will be getting out. Nobody's going to force you to sign a document or make you do anything. We're a place where business is being done, and we don't have to have you as a client for us to be successful. We already are. And we work with thousands of families and counsel many others as well. So just hopefully giving you some insight there to that. I want to, before I run through my next topic here, I know I kind of went off on a tangent, but I just think those concepts are important for you to understand, and you're probably not getting that type of vibe elsewhere as you can with what we're doing here. But I want to mention a number of show sponsors that make Winning at Life possible. Dwayne Stein of Mortgage.com fame, host of Mortgage Gumbo, the radio show. Jude Heath of J. Heath Company CPAs. So we work together on clients as well, and he's a show sponsor. Wesley Blanchard of W.J. Blanchard Law. There's some estate planning being done there. JJSaudiovideo.com. 504-638-0906. I consider him a friend, but he handles audio, video, security systems, my personal, as well as for our offices. Great guy. I have a problem or need something fixed. He answers the phone whenever I call him there. Let's see. iHeartMedia is another important sponsor. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com. I bet you hate mosquitoes as much as I do. Great service to help keep those critters away and leave you alone so you can enjoy your outdoors at your property. Spitali's Deli and Catering in Metairie, Louisiana. Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. And I've got another one. iHeartMedia. Did I mention them? We wouldn't be on air without iHeartMedia. And I was thinking about this. Pat Huber over at FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. We'll call him up next week and get him to guest as on one of our segments. Their number is 985-748-8655. Any of these that make this show possible, you reach out to them. Just tell them Gregory sent you as well. So let's see. My next topic here. Are you ready for your first year of retirement? And this is kind of that big thing, is that retirement's coming up. Do you just step right off into retirement? I think not. Sometimes it's forced upon you, and it could be your company transitioned you out, the company closed, or you just had enough. Sometimes those things can abruptly happen. But I think you should be, whatever that window is, I believe there's some 5-year window that you should start having a conversation. Even if you think you're short, you should start having that conversation. Are you ready for your first year of retirement? Let me make sure I've got the article here. And this is a MoneyWise article. Let's see, I always like to give credits where I kind of gather information. And gosh, I don't see an actual author listed here, but it's a MoneyWise article that was put out in April of this year. But 5 things you might not see coming, but you definitely need to be ready for. You prepare for retirement your whole life, maybe as far back as your teenage years and your first paycheck. We should all be that fortunate, right? That we started planning that far back. And if you did, you're in great shape because you've created some compounding over the years. But according to an April 2025 study by Northwestern Mutual, Americans believe they need around 1.26 million for a comfortable retirement. While this figure is 200,000 less than what was reported last year, 25% of Americans say they have 1 year or less worth of income in retirement savings. Yikes. Even with decades of planning and saving, surprises are likely to come your way that first year of retirement. Here's 5 strategies for retirees. First is get ready for an adjustment period. Even if you have a smart plan for retirement, there's still an adjustment period where leaving the labor force means far less money coming in than more going out. Let's face it, pre-retirement habits and assumptions can be difficult to change. One of the things is kind of start doing a test. If you know your income's going to be going down in a few years because transition to retirement while working, can you run a test there, start living within those means? Can you kind of make sure you make those changes? Make sure you look over your budget before you retire, not after. Remember, in one of our exploratory visits, say that first visit, that's kind of what we're looking for. Do you know what your monthly expenses are? Do you know how much you have coming in every month? That'll probably be a homework piece that you'll be asked to do for for visit 2 or in between visit. Crunching these numbers might feel overwhelming, especially if it looks like you're going to have to make some big changes to your lifestyle. And I know this is kind of something that could cause people to stop, not want to do it, or kind of like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. I'm afraid of what I might find out. Do the things you fear. The death of fear is certain. Take that step anyhow, even if you don't want to know the take that step. So crunching these numbers once again might feel overwhelming, especially if you're going to have to make some big changes. So it's a smart idea to sit down with a financial advisor and start looking at your situation. It's good to start having those conversations because you can have those over a period of time. Retirement's 5 years out, 8 years out, 10 years out, or 2 years out. But you need to start having those conversations. Even if I've had this, I don't ever plan to retire. I had somebody tell me that years ago, and they came in and but wanted to start having a conversation about investing and how things look. And a few weeks later, the person called me back and said, Gregory, maybe in 7 years, think about it, that. And I said, actually, I've already ahead of you. I started looking at those options for you, and even a shorter period. And the reality, that person that was never planning to retire, that then asked to think about 7 years out, actually retired 4 years later. So it's important to take stock of where you're at. Make sure your loved ones are protected. No one ever feels ready to start thinking about life insurance, but the truth is the younger you are when you purchase a policy, the lower your premiums will be. Life insurance can be used by your loved ones to make up for lost income, pay outstanding debts, cover unexpected expenses, and pay for funeral costs. I think this is important to think along that process, because whether you've not reached retirement, or you're in your 30s, or you're close to retirement, or you've just gotten into retirement, what if a death occurs? What are the impacts of that? You might not think about that, but we're thinking about that. Next is have a Social Security strategy. If you take your Social Security starting at 62, you're going to miss out on additional funds you'd reap at a later retirement age, according to the Social Security Administration. If you wait to 66, Social Security calculates that you'd receive $1,000 instead of $750. Further, you could receive delayed retirement credit should you wait until full retirement age, which stops when you reach 70. This needs to be done planning. This is for a household. How do I equate it? I think for both of you, the value of that decision and income, it's $1 million decision. That's the value of that decision. It's that big. And should you just do it on the fly, go online and search and use an online you need to be talking about an advisor that talks with your entire plan. It's a giant decision. Next, that's important, is prioritize your expenses. You want to travel? Could be expensive. You got to factor in food, lodging, flights, frequency of trips. You want to renovate your home or buy a seaside getaway. Sometimes that discussion is, I want to get a motorhome in retirement. I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't buy into that. That's not necessarily my thing. But it falls in there with somebody doing traveling and going to Europe and all. Those are expensive. Well, having a motorhome's expensive. So you need to look at these things that you're wanting to do and how does that factor in to retirement and what are those costs. And at some point, you want to unwind those retirement decisions, or that second home, or that lake home, or that vacation spot you're buying into to go to every year. So what is your exit from doing that? What is your cost of getting in? What are you budgeting that in? Is that going to hurt retirement as well? And I always kind of go to younger Gregory wouldn't have thought that. Gregory now thinks about things from the foreseeable future, but 10 years from now, 15 years from now, I'm going to think about things differently than what I would do now, or wonder why I did that. Glad I can unwind it, or why didn't I do that? So that's what we got to be and have discussions thinking about that going forward. And the last thought I've got here is keep adding to your savings. Once it's time to retire, many folks throw their savings plan out the window of the cruise ship or dream home. That's the wrong way to go. Saving not offers a buffer, but also a means to make even more aspirations possible. You shouldn't, here's the ultimate, is your savings and wealth continues to grow through retirement. That'd be the ultimate. Is that possible that you can save money? If you deplete emergency savings, can you build it back up as an instance? So you look at retirement income that you've transitioned to, can a portion of that be set aside for savings? I would not give up that savings thinking in retirement. We would like that to keep going as well. Hopefully that helps you a great deal, and we'll put that article up on the website at gregoryricks.com on the website. I've had this on my mind, and I'm here looking on my computer, medicare.gov/health drug plans. I want you to be thinking about Medicare and the opportunity and open enrollment, and even if you're transitioning, to make sure you're understanding your choices. I know it's complicated. You could go online and do it, but we have a team of people at Gregory Ricks and Associates. Reach out to us, gregoryricks.com, and we'll get you some help there. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. More of Winning at Life.
What does your ideal retirement look like? Is it traveling the world, fishing whenever you want, spending time with the grandkids, or maybe you don't know yet? Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you plan the retirement you deserve. Give us a call or go to gregoryricks.com to schedule a visit. We are Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks and Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, or you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Cancer Crusaders has been raising funds for cancer research in New Orleans since 1978. Cancer Crusaders Incorporated is a non-profit, all-volunteer organization with no administrative overhead. Cancer Crusaders has raised over $5 million for the local cancer research centers. LSU Stanley S. Scott Cancer